Thank you for joining us for All Things Real Estate. Now here are your hosts, Brad Avergon and Gary Kelly.
Hi, and welcome to All Things Real Estate on WCRN, WMCT, and now joining the network, Westboro Community Television. I'm Gary Kelly with Lamakia Realty, and I'm joined as always by the illustrious
Brad Avergon with Fairway Independent Mortgage. How are you, Gary?
I'm great. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Actually, I'm not doing all that great. After 9 years of living in this place, I'm moving. Now, I did some math earlier. It's the 11th move since I was in college, and most people move, used to be every 7 years, and then it bumped up to about 10. I'm down on the every 4 years on average. So something wrong there, because I've had some pretty long stints at places. But I'm moving, and that's the story, and I'm sticking with it. But I got to tell you something. It is a hassle.
Yeah. But if you move often enough, then you don't collect as much stuff, right? If you're moving all the like a turtle, right? You're moving all the time. Got within your shell.
I'm actually not finding that to be the case. I'm finding that I have accumulated stuff. I'm not going to say junk. I'm holding back that sense, but I've collected stuff over time, and now we've got to go through it. And that is not something that I can delegate away. I've got to do it. And I had someone over, helping pack on Sunday, and we were going through the kitchen. And the earliest item we found of food expired in 2007. And I don't know. And then there was a debate on things that had expired in 2022, whether or not that was really expired or whether there's like an extra time frame in there. But it's such a nuisance. And I thought I was going to be smart, okay? And clearly I'm not. I brought in someone who is an estate sale person. And I said, this is going to be great. I'll take like the computer stuff. I'll move it. Everything else, I'll just walk away and let these people take care of it. Well, the nice man comes and he walks through the house and he sits down at my table and he says, "Hate to say it, Mr. Kelly, but you have nothing of value." So what I wanted to do was call Barry and Elliot and say, what the freak, all this stuff that I've got in my house that I've bought from you guys over time is not of much value.
Well, Gary, I have to stop you short there, because Barry felt that Elliot had nothing of value, so he's no longer with the firm. So.
I know. He's off doing Broadway shows or something like that, right?
We just know he disappeared, Gary. We don't know where he went. So
I think that's the truth. I think he decided, amicable split. I think he decided that he wanted to go do Broadway and not like produce and stuff like that. So good for him. Mm-hmm. But I look at it and I say, I understand that my years of Jordan's furniture stuff, probably 20 years worth, probably doesn't have any value. It's not Cabot House or any of the high-end things. It was nice stuff for Jordan's, but it was still Jordan's. It's really kind of annoying, to be honest. So I've been trying to fight with that. I had to sell my car because where I'm going, I don't have room for a second car. And that was a thing with my kids because my daughter wanted it. Then they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to buy it. And it's like, oh my God, back and forth and all that. So eventually I took it to CarMax and sold it there. And they were like, "You sure you want to do this?" Yeah, it's about the snow. The car's never seen salt. I don't want to have it outside. But then I get the gift of COVID. Thank you, gods of COVID, for shining on me again, because I got it early when COVID first was popular. I got it relatively early, and then I got it again. So I can't have anyone in the house. I guess I could pack, but I was, not really in the mood would be the best way of describing it. It was really kind of an annoyance. And, I'm all into, let me call my physician. Let me get some real, COVID drugs. And they come back and they say, we're going to give you vitamin C, zinc, and something called quercetin. I don't know. It's like, where's, what is it? Provaxalot? What's it called?
It's something like Provaxalot or whatever. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then a friend of mine has a place up in Maine, and the place up in Maine, they lost power. And oh my God, you don't want to have frozen pipes and stuff. So off to Maine I went. I loaded up my car with a generator and a kerosene heater and a propane heater, and I'm all ready to go. And I get it all loaded up, and I get some coffee, and I throw WBZ on. I'm listening to Dan Ray, and I'm actually having a nice trip to Maine. I get up there, there are no lights on anywhere. Okay, it's a nice residential neighborhood. Well, no one has power, and they very rarely lose power there. So it was, there wasn't a star that you couldn't see. I get the whole light pollution thing. The house was at 49 degrees. I crawled into the bed because it wasn't cold enough to freeze yet. And the next day, they're going to come out, they're going to fix the power. Well, that didn't happen. It didn't happen until like 11:30, and then it came on for 3 minutes and then went off again. Why am I telling you all this?
I'm not sure, Gary. I hope our listeners are still with us.
I am the best one at coming up with reasons to procrastinate than anyone.
Right.
And it's a problem for me on this, because if it was for a client, I'm very good at focusing on it, but this is for me. And so I don't have to necessarily do it. So Brad, what do you think about my monologue over here?
No, you know what? I can absolutely relate. There's what's the saying? The shoemaker's daughter or something like that. It's like the last person to get shoes. I think we all treat in our professional capacity that's an agenda item, right? We got to get it. We got to make sure we're taking care of our clients. We got to do all that. But when it comes to our own personal stuff, if we can come up with a reason to put it off, then it's the best rationalization you can ask for. And I think, but I mean, you've got some legitimate ones. Admittedly, COVID drains you of energy and such. And, you did have to go up and take care of that heating situation to help out in Maine. But, ultimately those things, those tasks.
The biggest thing about going to Maine?
What's that?
Wasn't a trip to Maine in the middle of winter but I got a chance to meet all of the people in this neighborhood, because everyone comes out because they're all in the same situation, and you get that. So I don't know these people at all, but I'm getting a chance to meet them and chat and all that stuff. Waste of time at some level, but it's also nice to meet those people and be able to spend some time with them.
It is, and you felt like
been able to do otherwise.
Which is good. That is good. It's good. It is good to meet your neighbors. And you're right. There's nothing like a little bit of a crisis to, even though it's a minor one, to get everybody outside of their homes cooperating and helping each other, which is absolutely a good thing. But in answer to your question, I think the thing is, those tasks that we put off, they do eventually come back and kind of bite us in the butt. They don't go away, and they don't fix themselves on their own. So it's one of those things you can only procrastinate so long. And I think a lot of us, I'm myself included, we kind of work better under a crisis deadline. So I remember being in college, it was like, oh, that paper's not due for weeks. I got plenty of time. And of course, it's the night before, and I'm, cramming to get the thing done. I'm going to pull an all-nighter. And I just think that, we come up with, like you said, procrastination is just natural for all of us until we're really kind of forced in a corner. We got to get it done. I don't think that's the most efficient way, but it seems to be the most oftenly employed way.
Well, you moved recently. When you moved, did you have the flowers on the back of the next room over, which those of you that are on watching on TV can see? Those on the radio just have to accept that there are things there. Where did all that stuff come from, Brad? I've teased you about it before.
I know you have. So yes. So we took a lot of our stuff with us. We tried to get rid of as much stuff that as we could, but there were certain things that my wife or I felt were of value. I'm absolutely going to play the neutral party in this one, but felt were of value and needed to come over. And so we brought it with us. And so those flowers travel with us and live in infinity, which is nice. But things like, my record collection and things like that, that I don't listen to often, but, that I do enjoy every once in a while. So
So, Brad, if someone wanted to reach you and talk about moving, how would they do that?
the best way to reach me, Gary, is via my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531, or via email at brad@bradavergon.com. And Gary, how do they reach you?
Well, I'm Gary at movewithgary.com, and the move has to do with real estate. I'm not competing with Mark's Moving or any of those people, obviously. And I can be reached at 508-733-6005. Brad, let's continue this in the second half of the show.
See you on the flip side.
Stay tuned. More All Things Real Estate coming right up.